Baseball and Whatever, with your host, Justin McAwee.
Because I was on campus and I had to appear like I was one of the cool kids, I would put the Star Wars book inside one of my textbooks so it looked like I was just studying for class.
All right, look, there's only one return, okay? And it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi.
Vincent Francis Jankowitz IV.
I'm a glorified fact checker.
Last I checked, the most runs in a game wins.
Actually, I am a fact checker.
And Greg Probst.
If you look at most Bond fans movie rankings, they have Casino Royale and Majesties in their top two. For me, these actually rank in the bottom part of my list. I mean, I love them, but they don't compare to Diamond Cross Forever.
No, stop getting Bond wrong!
Alrighty, everybody, we are back. It would help if I actually turn the video off here. This is what happens when there's only one person running the show instead of my two partners. All right, we are back. Episode 71 of Baseball and Whatever. We are now live. Justin here. Man, oh man, we are batting 1,000 today. We got music looping. Holy cow, let's mute that. There we go. Anyway, no more snafus or glitches until then. I am here. Justin's here. Vinnie is working on quarterly end accountant stuff. I don't know what that means because I'm not an accountant, and I'm not going to ask because I'm not a math teacher for a reason. And Greg is getting ready for the birth of his next child. They are T-minus, I think 3 or 4 weeks away, so we'll see when he comes back. But I've been lucky enough. We have a co-host this week, Jordan. I have been lucky enough to meet Jordan. Jordan, I guess in my freelance work I do on the side, Jordan's kind of like my boss, the person I report to, I guess. Is that how you would describe it, Jordan?
I don't know if I do that. We're colleagues.
Okay,
that works for me. You help me out a lot, man.
All right, so Jordan works for an educational company, and he has been gracious enough to let me practice my podcasting editing skills, and I edit a show for them called The Flywheel Effect. Highly recommend it if you are into education, educational technology, or just teachers in general and supporting us, me being one myself. Highly recommend it. Check them out. They're available on all podcast apps of choice that you may want to check out, but I highly recommend them. We're doing things a little bit differently today. Later tonight, I'm going to discuss my thoughts on the Bears and Texans and what a joke of a game that was. And I know Vinnie wrote in. He has a bunch of sound bites I edited together for him that we're going to play later. And, of course, we got to talk about the White Sox. Tony La Russa will not be back, supposedly, next season. He's going to bow out due to health concerns, which I know we have well documented we're not fans of his, but obviously we don't want to wish ill on anybody, so hopefully he gets better, but White Sox fans are probably happy about that. But we'll save that for later, so if you're waiting for the sports stuff, normally tune into the end. I'll be doing that myself, but we are here for our whatever segment. We are going to rank our top 5 football helmets of all time. Could be NFL, could be NCAA, could be XFL. I don't know. I did not dive into the XFL category, I'm not going to lie, but yeah.
I feel like I should have now.
Nah, you could even go like the first iteration of the XFL, the second iteration, and I think they're trying to come back for a third time, if I'm not mistaken. I think after the second time I'd probably throw in the towel, but I don't know. I am not in charge of the WWE, so
they got really unlucky the second time.
I know.
They had a little momentum, and then some things happened.
Yes, yeah. There's quite a bit that happened there. So, all right, we are going to jump in. I'm going to hit the music, and we're going to try not to loop it this time. And after that, we will start off with our top 5. So here we go. We have whatever starting right now.
Now it's time for Whatever.
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 Whatever you want. Whatever I want.
Whatever, dude. Irrelevant.
Whatever, dude.
All right, so Jordan, you being the guest of honor, I'm going to let you take over. Number 5, best NFL NCAA helmet of all time. And I guess I should preface, no real stipulations. It's more of our favorites. So if someone wants to write in later and say that we are completely wrong, that would be fine. You know, I guess it's our own little personal biases on which teams we like and don't like. So yeah, what is your number 5 best NFL helmet design logo of all time?
So I actually did kind of give myself like some rules, like a little bit of structure. I'm not going to say I'm going to stay to them this whole time, but I started there.
Okay.
The first rule was if you're having the Super Bowl party, you're having folks over on Sunday. There's going to be like a dozen people there. If you have a big party that don't really watch football,
Okay.
they all need to recognize this helmet if it's on your shelf.
Ooh, I like that. I really like that. Okay.
So like cross out the Texans right there. They're done. The other rule I had was for me, and this is probably not going to go well with your audience.
Okay.
If the helmet is if it's a baseball logo on the helmet, like if it could also be a baseball logo, that's probably not mine either.
Okay, that makes sense because I feel like there's not as much work or the graphical fidelity like isn't as big of a deal because they just pasted on the logo and called it a day. So I can appreciate that too.
So like any that's so like Oklahoma, they're out.
Yeah.
No, Nebraska's out.
The Cornhuskers, I still remember as a kid, this would have been mid-90s. Like, I just remember them being such a powerhouse in the Big Ten. Like, you could not defeat them. And now, like, they're a joke of a program almost, right? Like, I don't remember the last time they had a winning season. It's crazy.
It's kind of a bummer. I'm like... on my podcast, we talk about school culture and discipline, all that stuff. I was a football coach for a long time. Was that much longer than I was ever school administrator.
Okay.
And I've always said this about Nebraska. I don't understand why they are like a spread team in the middle of Nebraska. Like, just get the best lineman in the country and be that. Be what you used to be.
It's. I know out here in Chicago, the running joke right now is, if I'm not mistaken, it was Northwestern and Nebraska went over to Ireland, I think, in the start of the season. Northwestern looks great. Nebraska lost. And the joke is that Northwestern's football skills stayed in Ireland because they've been awful ever since. In Nebraska's, I mean, I don't know if they brought them to Ireland with them, but yeah. Oh man, I feel bad for the fan base.
Northwestern just leaked an awesome stadium design today. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. Yeah. There's been a lot of people that have been begging for like the Bears and the Wildcats to like do like a joint effort right on the lake or do something in Evanston on the north side, but I don't see that happening. But yeah. So
and I had a third stipulation on my own personal rankings. It was if your helmet is like copycatted and like ripped off by like hundreds of thousands of high schools around the country,
okay,
you get bonus points for that.
Oh, okay. You went in a different direction there than I thought you were. Okay, all right, I can get behind that.
If it's something to aspire to, I think that matters. So,
okay,
my number 5, I will go college first, and I'm going to go with the U.
Ooh,
with Miami.
Miami. That is one I actually was thinking about that. I've always been a fan. The U logo itself is pretty cool, and I like I'm a sucker for like a white helmet with like the color or the striping or whatever. But I love, and I don't know the name of the mascot, but like I love their logo of the pelican, like the angry pelican. I would love to see that on a helmet. I know that I don't think they've ever done that, but yeah, that is a really like iconic. Like, I'm not even a Hurricanes fan, but I see that, I know immediately who that is. And.
Yeah, I'm not a Hurricanes fan either. The place I was coaching at, shout out Douglas Broncos, they that Broncos, so like one of their logos, the horseshoe, and their colors were Miami colors. So like our helmet for several years was basically the Miami logo, but it was the Colts logo morphed into the Miami logo, if that makes sense.
Okay, I gotcha.
So I'm kind of partial to that one, and you got the U, so you've got a lot of notoriety, and you get a lot of nostalgia, and you got highlights of Michael Irvin dancing in the end zone. So couldn't go wrong with that one.
That I want to say it was an ESPN 30 for 30, probably like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it was all about the 88 Catholics versus Convicts game. That was really, really interesting. Like,
so I thought you were going to go with the U, but that's a good one too.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for any of those 30 for 30s. But yeah, as somebody who I feel like I have like a love-hate relationship with Notre Dame, like that's I don't want to say it's like the trendy team to like in Chicago because they're like, right down, what would that be? I should know this, 1994, I believe. But yeah, like I couldn't stand what's his name? He just went down to LSU. Brian
Kelly.
I could not stand Brian Kelly at all. So seeing him go was great, and then he did the whole fake Louisiana, Cajun Bayou accent. And then now Notre Dame's kind of like up and down. They're all over the
best.
place. Yes, I agree. Like I love ESPN Game Day. Like I get more excited just to watch Game Day in the morning than probably watch any of the games. And then they bring out Lee Corso, and that's a whole nother topic. It's so sad to see him getting older and stuff like that. But that number 5, that is a good helmet. That is a really good pick. Really
I'm partial to white helmets, like you said with the white with the stripe, but because you could always go white helmet, color jersey, white pants, or you could go stormtrooper no matter what. Too.
Yeah.
So I'm always partial to white helmet. That's not my whole list. Is not white helmets, but there's a couple on there.
There's a couple good ones in there. I know I have a few myself that I'm kind of going back and forth on. All right, oh boy, I feel like I got a good mix of college and pro helmet designs in here. Oh man, see, I'm already second guessing my list. I'm looking at my Google Doc right now, and I'm like, is that really where it belongs? All right, I'm gonna go number 5 for me, and this is more of a tie-in to where I went to high school, and that is the Michigan State and I can't talk today. Michigan State Spartans logo of just the classic Spartan silhouette on the side of the helmet, white. It's not. I don't know if it's not even really Kelly green anymore. It's more of like an evergreen green. I don't know what color you'd call it, but the reason for that is where I went to high school on the south side of Chicago. We were the Oaklawn Community High School Spartans. The legend goes our high school opened in 1952, 54. I don't know. And the national championship that year was the Tennessee Volunteers and the Michigan State Spartans, and they named us the Spartans after that because Michigan State won. Otherwise, we would have been the Oaklawn Community Volunteers, which just doesn't have as nice of a ring to it. But yeah, that is my one. I'm not even a Sparty fan. I know Mel Tucker got a ton of money to go there, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like
So much.
I was shocked because I remember seeing him he was at University of Colorado, right? Or Colorado University, coaching the Buffs.
Yeah, go Buffaloes.
Yeah. That campus, we got to check out that campus. We were out in
An underrated helmet.
Yes, that was one I almost added to my list. I'm not going to lie. The gold with the buffalo silhouette. But, yeah, like I feel like he was okay in Boulder. And then, like, Michigan State just came in and threw all this money at him. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I obviously don't know enough about football, but damn,
It seemed like a little much.
Yeah, what else is there to say? He better keep winning or start winning, I guess would be, But, yeah, the green, I know sometimes they go back and they just do, like, the green with the S for state. Not a fan of that at all. I find that so boring. That just bores the heck out of me. But, yeah.
It's a baseball hat.
It is. That's all it is. And same thing, like, I used to really like following Syracuse for a while. They did, like, the blue S for Syracuse. I think now they just have an all-orange helmet, if I'm not mistaken. But, yeah, number 5 is my Michigan State Sparty.
Which, so they're kind of like the Eagles where they change their green. Which green do you prefer?
I'm a sucker for like the lighter Kelly green.
Same.
But over years, the darker green that they've kind of gone with probably in the last decade has kind of grown on me a little bit just because it's all right. I can't complain though. But yeah, that's my number 5. Not bad.
I like it. So I'm on 4, right?
Yes, you're on 4.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna kind of go back and forth between
Okay.
college and NFL. This one is probably a pretty popular pick, and it might be on your list too. I'm gonna go Chargers.
Ooh, that is on my honorable mentions list. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Chargers. I love the bolt. I love the number. I love that it like weirdly works with both color jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
It works with the white. It works with the the powder blues. And when they go with the 90s like darker blue, it still works. It's sweet.
That's one I was looking at that the other day because I was trying. We take our list very very serious here on the podcast, but the fact, like you said, that it works with I love their powder blue look. I loved their like the darker navy blue or whatever you want to call that from the 90s, like you said, but. There's something about it, like that white helmet, and then the gold from the lightning bolt or the charger bolt, and then the gold or yellowish face mask too. Like I feel like the colored face masks is something that kind of is very underrated too. It reminds me of like the colored face masks on like a goalie mask, like in ice hockey when I used to play. But that's a really good one. I did not realize. I don't know if you heard it. They were talking about it out here that they're having such a problem in LA right now getting people to go to Chargers games as Charger fans. I never even thought about that, because apparently like the Rams winning the Super Bowl just pretty much took all the fan base from the Chargers if they had one at that point. So
yeah, big transplant city to begin with. I almost called them the San Diego Chargers when I talked about the helmet. So
yeah, like I supposedly they were talking about how people are like actively planning, if they're doing vacations or trips to follow their team. They find out when they're playing the Chargers, they fly in, and the seating is so available. Like, supposedly they said that the team itself, and I've never played football, I've watched it and played a ton of Madden, but like they have to go to like a hard count on offense because they can't hear, because the opposing team's fans are so loud. Like, I can't even imagine not having a home game. You have 16 road games in your own stadium. Like, that's insane to me.
I expected that to happen with the Raiders too.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really heard it as much though, because that just sounds like a great weekend. Let's go watch the Bengals play in Las Vegas.
Yeah, like it'd be perfect. So I know there's still a lot of like resentment from San Diego, and I think is it the Spano family that owns the Chargers? Like they just kind of uprooted them. I don't get it. I didn't know. I mean, I feel like San Diego had a decent fan base before they moved, and now man, that's tough. I don't know how you alienate your whole fan base and just leave like that, unless the money is just that bad. I don't know how that works, but
I mean, everything I know about San Diego is a pretty nice place.
Yeah, 80-degree sunny weather all season.
The stadium is it Qualcomm?
Qualcomm, yeah.
Didn't they have like a couple Super Bowls there? Like
I feel like they did.
Like in the relative near recent future or recent past.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but at least they got a good uniform and a good helmet out of it. I guess so.
They do.
All right. My number 4. I'm gonna go. Let me look at my list here. All right, I'm gonna go. Oh man, where am I gonna put this one? All right, I'm gonna go off the board a little bit. This is kind of like a special, unique helmet. It's not one they wear very often. And I need to preface this by saying I hate the fact that it feels like they have a new uniform and a new helmet every damn week. And I'm going to go with the Oregon Ducks, but I am going with, hold on, I actually had to find, they wore these in 2016. It is the Combat Duck logo, and apparently their duck mascot is named Puddles the duck, which unbeknownst to me, but it's the side of like the duck with like the sailor hat, kind of looks like Donald Duck, and it's like on like a green, and then he's got like the yellow thing. Love that logo. I wish they would use that
Those
full
are great.
time. Absolutely love it. Like I almost bought similar to what we were talking about earlier. Like I almost bought like a baseball hat with that logo on it. I have no affinity for Oregon. I've never been to Oregon, never seen it. But that logo is so great. And for me, like I find the O on the side is just so boring. Maybe if I was an alumni, I'd be in love with it. But that, and like when they do the wings, but every single week, like they have chrome wings, and then they have silver wings, and then they have gold and yellow and green, and it's just too much. Like you have really iconic colors in green and yellow, and you have a really cool, unique logo because supposedly, I want to say it was Walt Disney was an alumni there, and he kind of made a deal with the president of Oregon's university at the time that said they could use Donald Duck's likeness, and that's where this Puddles the duck came from. But
I did not know that.
No,
awesome.
I did some deep dive for this one, but yeah, like it's just so cool. I don't know why they don't just roll with that all the time, but they don't. And I don't know, is it Nike that has their campus near there as well, and that's why they have all the crazy uniforms and stuff?
Yeah, well, I've had a few players go out there on like recruiting visits, and they said it was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up not going there because Kentucky's really far away from there.
Yeah, that's a long flight and drive. Yeah,
but they went and checked it out. It was awesome. So
wow, yeah, that one. Yeah, I love. God, I still remember. This is going back. I remember in high school I got really into like NCAA football for like PS2, and the one I had. I want to say
coming back.
Yeah, I know. I am so excited for that. I want to say they had Joey Harrington on the cover, Detroit Lions quarterback that was kind of a bust, but yeah, and they had like the
that's a throwback reference right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that thankfully our clientele that listen are mid-30s and above, so I think we'll be okay. But yeah, like that.
I'm in my wheelhouse then. This is good.
See, this is perfect, right? Yeah. But yeah, no, that's my number 4. The Puddles the Duck / Combat Duck, I guess is the other name they call it. So there you go.
All right, I'm gonna do one that's off my board.
Okay.
just because you gave me an idea who the audience is, and the fact that you mentioned the XFL, I'm going to go with Any Given Sunday's Miami Sharks helmet.
Oh,
the black one with the white outline of the shark. Those are awesome.
That's God. I'll be honest. I didn't even think about football movies. That's a good. Man, that's a good. That Any Given Sunday, great movie. That Sharks logo is really cool. That's a really good pick.
It's great. I really like. There's a lot of movies from the 90s that are great football movies. Like The Replacements is awesome. I don't like the helmets in that movie at all.
No, but The Replacements movie, like I'm a sucker for Keanu Reeves movies, and I feel like that came out like around the same time as Remember the Titans, which is also an awesome football movie. I know that's one like. When I was still teaching history, like I would sometimes when we would get to like our civil rights classes, we would kind of show that just to kind of portray what the movement was like there. But yeah, there's so many. Even for a while, I was even thinking about like Little Giants, which I know that was like when I was a kid, and you know I remember those Giants helmets are really boring, just saying Giants across the top. But you know, can't go wrong with the annexation of Puerto Rico and all that stuff. But that's an excellent pick. That's just a great movie in general, too. I mean, Robert De Niro? Not Robert De Niro, I'm sorry. No, not Robert.
Pacino's the coach.
Al Pacino, that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, I never really appreciated him as an actor until I got older. And then I went back and started watching all his movies. He is so good at what he does. Like, I feel like his characters are always kind of the same, but it's so good. Like, even... remember a couple of years ago when The Irishman came out, like I hadn't seen him act in a while, and that movie he was so good in that movie, even though he's got to be pushing almost 80 at this point, right? So
actually I did not like The Irishman.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling it. Mm-hmm. It was so long. It was a commitment.
I remember we watched that. My parents were in town for Thanksgiving weekend, and it's probably like 8:00 at night, and my dad's like, "Oh, let's put this on. I heard this was good, or I heard it's new on Netflix." I'm like, it's like almost 3.5, 4 hours long. I'm like, you're never gonna make it through this. And I was shocked. This guy falls asleep through everything, watched the entire thing, and was, he actually loved it. I was shocked. But the one thing I didn't like about that movie, and I feel like I'm going on a tangent here, but it was like the de-aging thing. Something about the eyes totally looked off.
I wasn't a fan.
No.
It's a lot of that.
I mean, like, when the camera was far away, I'm like, okay, that's believable. Like, but when they would get, like, for these really close, gripping scenes, and I'm like, oh, no, something's wrong. There's, like, an uncanny valley here that we are crossing, and, yeah, I wasn't a fan of that, so. But yeah, I could talk days about The Replacements. I watched that movie so many times in high school.
You guys should rank 3-hour-plus movies.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea. After 70 episodes, we're really dragging on topics, so that might be one we do. We might have to pull that one out. We'll have to give you a shout out if we do. All right, my number. What are we on? I'm on 3, I think now.
Yes.
All right, I was going back and forth on my number 3 between a college team and a pro team, but I'm gonna go pro team on this one because in my mind they have not had. The current one's okay, but they have not had a good logo they haven't had a good uniform and a good color scheme since the 80s and 90s. And that is the original Seattle Seahawks, the gray helmet with the blue and green Seahawk on the sides. As a kid, they were one of my favorite teams to follow, just because even though I'm a Bears fan, but I'm not a Bears, like, I almost enjoy when the Bears are bad because it's just so much more funnier on like Chicago sports radio and sports news out here because people
probably get more content that way.
People lose their mind, yeah, and we get more content for our show too. But yeah, like I remember watching like Warren Moon as the quarterback in the mid to late 90s, and that logo, like the lighter blue, the green, gray, like awesome color scheme. And I want to say, oh God, who was their other quarterback that the Bears ended up getting him, and he was horrible. I'll have to look it up. I want to say it was Rick something. I can't remember, but Rick Meyer. That was it. Yeah, Rick Meyer. I remember the Bears got him, and I was excited because I'm like, oh, this is a guy I know from Madden. Like, we're good. Awful. Chicago's where quarterbacks go to die or never start their careers in some cases. But yeah, like I love that look. I hate it. I don't know about you, but when they went to the color scheme they had with like Sean Alexander and Matt Hasselbeck, I could not stand it. And then for a while they did like that really weird like lime volt green jerseys. Didn't matter like that. I'm like, oh, these are ugly. These are hideous. So
I will say this: the newer ones, I was not a fan when they first came out, but when the Legion of Boom was winning a Super Bowl in them, all of a sudden,
yeah, you kind of look the other way. Yeah, I agree that the current ones aren't bad. Like for me, they're still not like the classic ones, but I'll take the current ones over what they had in like the early 2000s. Those things were atrocious.
Yeah. Those Sean Alexander ones, those are like very dated from a very specific time. Like there's several teams that have not changed their uniforms since that time. So like the Broncos are stuck in that era.
Yeah, Sean Alexander is a guy, like, I feel like he was so good for, like, a short period of time, and then, like, I feel like I haven't heard about him or heard from him since he retired. Like, just fell off the face of the earth. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Do you know where Sean Alexander's from?
No, I do not.
So he was Alabama running back.
Okay.
He's from Kentucky.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, he ran all over the state of Kentucky for a little while, then went to Alabama.
Wow. I guess that
Boone
makes
County,
sense.
Boone County High School.
I guess that makes sense. Now, from like your time coaching and stuff, like is Alabama, since, I mean, it's not too far away from the Southeast, you know, Kentucky being near the Southeast, I guess, but like, is that like a destination that like you had a lot of players like wanted to go to check out, or not so much just because they're such a powerhouse? Or
there's they've actually got a couple like NFL players from Kentucky.
Really?
Damian Harris is a Kentucky kid, and Jedrick Wills is a Kentucky kid.
Mm-hmm.
The tackle for the Browns.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool, because I feel like out here, I mean, like out here is strictly like Big Ten country for the most part. Like, so I feel like the closest school most people follow is Wisconsin. Some people follow Northwestern, but they're kind of like an afterthought. Iowa, to a certain extent, I remember when we would go visit, you know, downtown Chicago on like Saturdays, like you would see like Hawkeye bars like advertising to come check out games. But like
I would like to go to a game at both those places.
Oh, yeah.
Iowa and Wisconsin would be fun.
Yes, I know. Vinnie, my brother-in-law, and one of our co-hosts, when he was in college, he went to Edgewood, which was literally the private school right next to University of Wisconsin. In his dorm, or I'm sorry, not his dorm, his apartment or his house that he rented. I remember I was there once. You could see the very top of Camp Randall Stadium from where he was. And I've never been there. That's like one I really want to go to. My parents live like 25 minutes down the road from Madison now. So I would love to see that. And same thing with where the Hawkeyes play. Like, I love the fact that they do the wave for the hospital right next door, the kids' hospital. Like, that is just such a nice, you know, for sports. It's like a nice, sweet, you know, moment for those kids. So, all right, I'm gonna get to your number 2. Right? Are we on number 2 now?
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm going back to college and another white helmet.
Okay.
And this is one of those that is replicated all over the country. And it's one of the more recognizable logos and recognizable colors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the burnt orange Longhorns, the Texas Longhorns.
Wow, that's another school that I feel like so good, like in the last 15 to 20 years ago, and then now like kind of falling on hard times a little bit maybe. But
they for about a quarter against Alabama, they looked like they were back. And then, is it Ewers? The quarterback got hurt?
Yes.
Not so much now.
No, and I feel like I remember when Vince Young was on the team, and then he went to, was it the Titans, I want to say? Is that where he ended up? I just remember like that when he had like his coming out party and he had such a good game. I want to say it was in was it a bowl game that he did really well? I mean, he was good in general, but the
Rose Bowl.
Thank you. That's what
I guess USC had like 20 NFL players or something crazy.
Like that Longhorn logo on the white helmet and just the orange logo is like so iconic. I feel like that, you know, exactly geographically, you know where this football team is, you know, and then you know it's the Longhorns. I mean, it's University of Texas. So I think that's an awesome pick.
In every like small town in the country, there's somebody who drives a truck and has a Longhorns hat.
Yes.
It's just because it's a great hat.
It's a great hat. It's a great logo. I know in high school, one of the guys that we hung around with, huge Longhorn fan. Like, he was convinced he was going to the University of Texas to play. He was a lineman in our high school team, and he was convinced they're going to take me. I'm going. I'm going to, hook him. I'm going. This was like his whole persona, his whole personality. He did not end up going to the University of Texas at all. Like, I don't even know where he ended up going, but like, dreams dashed, and it's like, you got to have your options open. Like, I would have loved to have gone to a big school. I didn't, but what are you going to do? So, oh man. All right. Okay. I'm going to go. Oh, all right. These last two, all right, I'm not going to spoil it. This one here, clearly I am nostalgic for my childhood. We're going to go back to the late 80s, early 90s on this one. And this is the Dan Marino era Miami Dolphins. I love those.
Yeah, this was on my honorable mention list.
Yeah,
they messed them up. Why don't they still have those?
I don't know. When they made that change to the like floating dolphin with the sun and which, I mean, I know the sun has kind of like been in all their logos, but you had such a cool, and going back to like your first point when you started, like, it's iconic. Like, right away, the color scheme alone, the teal and orange is awesome. And then you got like the fun kind of a caricature of an animal holding a football with a helmet, and then you factor in like oh god, what was that Jim Carrey movie? Ace Ventura with like Dan Marino in it. Like, it just builds the legend of that logo and the dolphin and everything. Yeah, when they changed it, that was such a disappointment for me.
Didn't he drive the helmet car during that movie at some point?
Yes, I think you're right. I haven't seen that movie in about 25 years, but yes, I do remember that scene. Yeah, like that logo is just synonymous with Miami for me. And I remember like, their linebacker, I think it was like Zach Thomas. I remember was on like those late 90s, early 2000s teams when they still had that. God, I'm drawing a blank on some of their receivers now, but like, yeah, like it was such a cool logo. And again, I wasn't even a Dolphins fan. I'm not a Dolphins fan by any stretch, but like, I would totally buy a hat or buy a shirt. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. So that is my number 2. The 90s Miami Dolphins.
That Dolphins logo, and we're about the same age, so I'm sure at some point in the 90s you had a starter jacket.
Yes, I did.
The Dolphins one is awesome.
Oh yeah, it's blown my mind. So
that one and the Hornets ones are the two best.
That I had a Hornets one. That was my one. Which in retrospect was like blasphemy.
One, right?
No, I never had a Bulls one. I was a huge Bulls fan. But no, I had a Hornets one. I had a Blackhawks one when I was real little, and then I got a Hornets one. That was when like they made the pullover ones, and it was like you got a pullover one. It was so cool. Such a in retrospect, like kind of a goofy concept, but I had my Hornets one, which is like totally blasphemy, being in like Chicago Bulls 90s 6-peat or 2 double 3-peat run. But I was a huge Muggsy Bogues fan. Because I'm only like 5'7", and I was really short in grade school. Like, he was my guy, because I'm like, oh, if Muggsy Bogues can, make it to the NBA, I can make it to a sport, no problem. I got this, and here I am podcasting in my basement about sports. But
so speaking of Muggsy Bogues, and that's a Space Jam reference, is Muggsy Bogues. The in your video game guy too. Did you have Sega Saturn by chance?
I had a Genesis. I did not have a Saturn though. Yeah.
There was a Space Jam game on Saturn that was awesome, and the screen here on StreamYard, like the font and the background, the space background, it looks like that video game.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out now.
Yeah.
Oh, I still am way into like NBA Jam was like my game as a kid. Like, I loved, and that didn't even have Jordan on it, because I don't think he was in the Players Union, or he wouldn't license his likeness for the Players Union. I don't remember what the logistics of it were, but
I don't know if he was ever on a game until he was retired.
I think you're right, because even like I remember I got a PlayStation, and I remember I had like NBA Live 97. I want to say it had like Mitch Richmond on the cover from the Sacramento Kings, and I remember same thing, generic. It was like literally like player who was number 20, like 2 or 32, like in all 99 stats, and it's like, oh come on, like you'd have to go in and edit it and all that. But
even NBA Jam, it had Scotty and Horace.
Yes, which was so crazy. Like, I was a big BJ Armstrong fan too. I had his jersey. I loved, like, anybody who could shoot threes was my guy. But yeah, like I still, one of my buddies has a guy that makes these little, they're called retro pies. So they literally have like thousands of games, and it's all like the Nintendo and Sega games from like the 90s. So I still, after my daughter goes to sleep, I'll pop that in, and every once in a while play NBA Jam and all that stuff. But I'm gonna have to. I know it's got that Space Jam game on there. I'm gonna have to go look for that now and see it. So.
Oh yeah, you gotta play that.
I'm gonna check that out. Space Jam.
I thought about getting a Space Jam like the like actual arcade for the garage.
That would be awesome.
I ran into one of those and I didn't get it, but it was way too expensive, and I figured it'd be broken.
Oh yeah, that is something. There's been so many times I've seen like stuff pop up for like $400 or $500 for like the little, like, I think they're like 3/4 size arcades. They're not full size. And like, I literally have to talk myself out because I'm like, there's no reason. I don't need this. Yeah, it's just going to take up room. Oh, but it would look so cool when someone comes over and sees I have this. I'm like, no one's coming over to my house. It's, all my friends have kids now. We don't have time to visit. So
you can put it in the background of the podcast.
That's true. If maybe I could contact Belly Up Sports and see if they'll write that off for us. But all right. Let's see. So yours was that was me, right? Dolphins 90. Yep. So I think we're back to your number 2 or number 1.
I think I'm at 1. I've got like 20 honorable mentions.
Sure. No, that's perfect. You're fitting in fine because I'm the same way. So don't worry about it.
I'm going total homer pick though. Okay. The Bengals helmet's the best helmet in football.
That is a really, I feel like, iconic and unique helmet. Now, are you more of a fan? I know they debuted the white ones tonight, right? On Amazon.
I love it. Love it. But I mean, the orange one is the iconic helmet. The classic, it's the white one's really sick occasionally.
Yeah. What was like the vibe in Cincinnati last year after they lost the Super Bowl? Was it like, oh, don't worry, we'll be back, or like this was our one shot and we've blown it?
It kind of depends on who you talk to. I felt like everybody's young, we're ahead of schedule. This will be fun for a decade.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I felt. I was at the Raiders game, the wild card game.
Oh wow, okay.
The first playoff win in since I was like 2 years old.
Wow,
that was easily the most fun I've had at a sporting event ever. Easily,
that's awesome. I feel like I'm a bad Bears fan because I've only been to one Bears game my entire life, and I made sure I went like in an early October game when it was still like 60, 70 degrees in Chicago.
Well, I love the cold games.
I don't have the wherewithal to sit on the cold bleachers at Soldier Field and freeze, but yeah.
I love December and January games.
Really?
At Paul Brown, yeah.
So like, how do you like? Do you have to get into like a special mindset to like not freeze while you're out there?
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys do?
Oh yeah, so you're getting hot hands.
Okay.
You're wearing like the best hoodie you got, the thickest hoodie you got.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting all the gear. Put it all on.
Sure. Man, well, see, I envy you because I just don't. I am not good with cold weather.
Everybody pretty much stands at those games too.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you don't like have to like sit and freeze.
Okay.
That helps.
So you're constantly moving, shuffling a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that's one thing. Like, I am so excited at the prospect of the Bears building a dome in the suburbs out here because that is is
that a real thing?
Oh yeah, they there's a town, a northern suburb called Arlington Heights out here. Probably like a half an hour from the city. The Bears bought this huge chunk of land that was for sale, and they actually just released a bunch of plans. They want to build a fully dome stadium, and then also build like their own little Bears town to surround it.
I like that idea.
No retractable roof. That was something they came out and said, no, we are not doing that. It's too expensive. Which, knowing the Bears' ownership, the McCaskey family, that makes perfect sense because they are the mentality is they're very cheap, but in terms of spending money on players, they've gotten better. But I'm all on board for a dome just because, like Chicago, we don't get Final Four games in the Sweet 16 and March Madness. We don't get Super Bowls because you would not want to play here in January or early February. It is a nightmare here.
If you had a new dome, you'd probably get one.
Yeah, you'd get all that. Like, I know a couple years ago they did the NFL draft.
Minnesota got one, did they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, And I know like they did the draft here a couple of years ago in Chicago during this, what would that be, summer, spring, right? I think it's a spring. It's been a while since I paid attention to the draft because the Bears don't usually draft well. But
I love the draft too.
It was a huge.
Bring me back when it's draft time.
We'll do. We'll do a draft special. We will have you on for sure. But yeah, like it was a huge success, and like the NFL wanted to do more in Chicago, and it's like, no, sorry, Soldier Field is. The renovations they did like 15, 20 years ago were a complete disaster too, because they took this classic, iconic national landmark or city landmark in Chicago, and they built this giant, like, it literally looks like a historic stadium, and then you have this giant like toilet bowl that comes out of it, out of the columns and things that represent like the military and stuff like that, and complete train wreck of a redesign. So we'll see. I mean, like, it sounds like it's a done deal. The mayor of Chicago is fighting it tooth and nail because she doesn't want to be the one that lost the Bears. And she's like, oh, we'll bring in another NFL team. Like, no, you're not. You're not. The main thing, and I'll be curious, I'm assuming Cincinnati doesn't have this problem. So the Bears own, or not own, but like they play at Soldier Field, but they don't have the rights to the field. So the Park District of Chicago owns the field. So they come in, they have concerts and things, and then they put all the grading down for people to stand on the field. And they'll have a concert on Friday night, Thursday night, and then the game is on Sunday.
Have no say.
They have no say, and the field is a mess. Like, it's the big story recently was Matt Eberflus wanted new sod put in because he wanted the sod to be different because it was going to make them run faster. And it's like, okay, you don't understand. You have no say. In the Park District agreed for the first time in like decades because they want to keep the Bears, and there's no way they're not sticking around. So yeah,
it's cute you're asking, man, but.
Yeah, like, okay, you know the team's garbage, right? Like, this isn't going to matter, but...
I like the idea of a little city around the stadium. I love Chicago. It's one of my favorite cities, and this is a very touristy thing. So I have no idea what like locals feel about it.
Sure,
but I like going to Wrigley and like doing the Wrigleyville stuff for somebody that's from out of town. It's awesome.
Yeah. I love, like, I've been a Cubs fan my whole life, so like Wrigley is like its own thing, and like trying to get there is a complete pain in the ass if you're not doing it like now as an adult. I know like, oh, like you can drive to a certain spot in the suburbs, and then they literally have school buses that will like shuttle you in, and it's like $5, and then they take you to the game, they pick you up in a school bus, they take you right back to your car, and you're good to go. So like once you get like the specifics down, because I used to always take the train, and the L is a whole nother story, but
that's the way I got there was that.
Yeah, and you kind of find the secrets and ins and outs of how to alleviate that problem too. But yeah, like I love. Granted, I'm somebody who, like, growing up, I lived one town away from the city, so I was like 10 minutes away from the outskirts of the city, and now I'm literally the last suburb of the Chicagoland area. I'm like 45 to 50 minutes away now from the city, but yeah, it's an awesome like tourist city, and I feel like sometimes it gets a bad rap, but like when people come and visit, it's just such a nice, like a good cross between like LA and like not like a cool New York that's not as crowded and stuff like that. So, but yeah, all right, I'll get to my number one, I guess.
Number one.
Okay, this was one I was shocked. I actually forgot about this one altogether until I saw it pop up online, and another one, I'm not a fan of this team at all. But that is the 80s and 90s era, the creamsicle Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love that Buccaneer logo. Every time the Buccaneers talk about rebranding, I'm like, please bring those back, or bring back the creamsicle jerseys. I loved those things. Love that jersey, love that helmet. And it's funny because I still remember, like, when I was first getting into football, that was when the Buccaneers had that logo, that helmet, that uniform, and they were awful. They were always like 3-13, 4-12. Like, I don't think they ever got to 2-14. I'm sorry, they were not. I don't think they were ever 2-14, but I think they were like 4-12 and 3-13.
They had Steve Young and were still awful. Somehow.
Yeah, and Warwick Dunn, I want to say, was their running back for a while, and was it Mike Allstott?
Those two guys were part of the.
That was the later years, right?
The change when they changed uniforms, all of a sudden they're awesome. That's
when like the Tampa 2 and Lovie Smith and all that stuff came into play. But yeah, like I love those, and I'd be curious, like, if for a Tampa fan, like if those are like synonymous with losing, and that's maybe why they kind of distance themselves a little bit. But as an outsider, I absolutely love those. I'm all in on those. So
probably. I had a couple honorable mentions that didn't make it.
Go ahead. Let's hear what you got.
The same era, Houston Oilers.
Oh, those are so good. Those are so good.
And I almost put the Dallas Cowboys on there too, just because the star is pretty iconic. But it was them or the Longhorns. I went Longhorns.
That's America's team, right? I remember even as a kid, like that was the team. Like I wanted Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. God, who else was on that team? I feel like there was more. There's somebody else that I'm missing, but like
Moose Johnston.
Yes, he's such a good. I love him.
Harper.
I love when he's one of the broadcasters.
God,
Dion! Yeah, how could I forget about Dion? That's a great pick. What other honorable mentions you got?
College USC.
The Trojans.
You kind of went there with Sparty, so it was sort of.
That's another team. I remember when I was in high school, that would have been like 03, 04. And I just remember that team was such a powerhouse. Like when Pete Carroll was in charge, and you had Carson Palmer. Like, man, they were so good. And then all of a sudden in Reggie Bush, and then like Pete Carroll kind of wandered up to Seattle to be a Seahawks head coach, and like everything just fell apart. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's been forever since they've been really good too. But
they may be back. They paid a lot for a coach this time.
Yeah, I did see that. Any others that strike your fancy?
I thought we were going to talk about Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I thought that was coming up. I'm a Notre Dame fan too. From a distance. Like I've been to a stadium once or twice. I loved it.
That's one I've never been to the stadium. I know Vinnie, our other co-host. I want to say he's been there, and he like loved like Touchdown Jesus, which I want to say like you can't really see the mural anymore from the field, can you? I feel like something changed with their buildings, or they built something that maybe isn't. You can't see it as well, but like I still remember like seeing that on TV, and like that was just such a cool like in the end zone you see like the synonymous. You got that. You got the play like a champion today sign that they're all pounding as they run out, like, and then just the gold helmet in general, such an iconic helmet.
I was there whenever it was last year. I took a couple kids on a recruiting visit there. Mm-hmm. That was the first time I'd been, and it was the Cincinnati game.
Okay,
and they lost, but. That's what got Cincinnati in the playoff. But my only note on them was at some point they changed the gold leaf to like more of like a real super shiny. Yeah, I don't like it as much. That's why they didn't make my list.
I think that the gold leaf one is iconic. I think that's a really good one. That's a really good pick. The couple that I had, one in particular. Let me pull up my list again here. Where'd it go? First off, being like a semi-Badgers fan, that's like one of the Big Ten teams I'll follow. I love like just the classic white helmet, the red W that's kind of like emboldened a little bit with the red stripe. Love that. Also still occasionally watch Penn State games. Coach Franklin? I kind of like following his story a little bit. I don't know too much about him, but just the classic like white and blue stripe. That's it. Like you could not find probably a more boring uniform. But like as soon as you see it, it's like, oh, that's Penn State. Like here come the Nittany Lions, So
when they're on TV with a whiteout is pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. That is cool. That is one stadium like I've never been to a college football game, but I got to imagine like that's crazy intense when you're there.
Oh, you got to do a college football game.
I know.
Awesome.
I
you got to go to like a big game. But
yeah, because I mean. The Bears are not worth going to and spending all the money. But yeah, like I would love to go, even like a Northwestern game, like that would be, I'm still hoping to get to a Badgers game. I think that'd be pretty neat. But
Northwestern usually knocks somebody off every year too. You may get
that's true. You might
Ohio State or something.
That's true. You might. The only other two I had, and I think I mentioned this, you mentioned the Chargers white current, the white helmet with the bolt, one of my favorites. And then the other one, I love visiting Denver. I love Colorado in general. I'm not a huge fan of the Broncos uniforms after I think they won the Super Bowl with Elway. They made like the more modern. I love the classic orange helmet with the D and like the bucking Bronco coming out of it.
Those are great.
Love that. I would love to see them come back to that. I feel like I read an article recently where they were going to try and like re-envision that for like a modern look. We'll see, but yeah.
Yeah, they might have. There's some teams that never changed theirs, like the Packers have never changed theirs, and the Bears pretty much haven't either. But theirs are stuck in 1998, and like it really shows because they have like the side piping.
Mm-hmm.
It is
it's
it's very uniquely 98, 99.
Yes, I was I felt like they took baby steps because and this is just me, but like it bugged me so much. Like when I think of Broncos, I think of orange. So from like 98 or whatever year that was to like when Peyton Manning came in, I feel like they were still rocking the dark blue. And then finally they had like the orange that they kind of worked in, which I think they still wear now to this day. I think I could be wrong, but yeah,
I would. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like you said, I think the 90s were definitely like this time where like you could get some really cool stuff that like is nostalgic for like our age, like, 30s, 40s and younger. But then you also have like this stuff that is clearly like, oh man, this was a misstep when you made it in the 90s and you're still going forward with it. You might need to readjust a little bit, but
yeah.
Well, I got nothing else. Is there any other, I have no other honorable mentions. Any other helmets, logos, football talk you want to get to? Or any Bengals stuff you want to get off your chest?
Off my chest? No, I'm probably gonna head out and make sure I watch the second half.
Yeah, you gotta catch. I know I just saw something just popped up. I think Tua got hurt during the game, so maybe the Bengals will have an easy win. We'll see. He is not my he's not my fantasy quarterback, so yeah. My fantasy team's doing awful this year. It's absolutely a train wreck. But
I've been crushing FanDuel. But
oh, have you? I've been so close. There's a couple. There's a Chicago sports station out here that we've kind of gotten friends with. We've interviewed a couple of their guys, and they have this huge promo. I think it's PointsBet, and it's like, oh, you sign up with us, you get like $2,000 in like free bets and stuff. And I'm like, I've never done any of that, but there's so many times I've been like, maybe I'll just dip my toe in it a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know how much I would lose, but we'll see.
The Monday night game, I mean, nobody cares about lineups, but like the lineup that won like the big prize on FanDuel picked no quarterbacks and both kickers.
Wow.
that was the grand prize lineup.
Holy cow. Before I forget, we did have 2 write-ins. Dr. Mantis, one of our frequent write-ins, he texted in and said his number 5 was the Air Force Lightning Bolt, which that's kind of unique. I honestly would have never even thought about that. I believe they're the Falcons, right? Is that what they are? Air Force Falcons?
It's kind of the it's like it's the Chargers one.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know, like a grittier.
Yeah, like a little more stylized. Yeah.
Yeah.
He said number 4, the old school creamsicle, Tampa Bay Bucks. Number 3, San Diego Chargers. Number 2, Michigan State Spartans. So a lot of familiar ones. And then number 1, I don't think this is one we brought up tonight, was the Minnesota Vikings, which is one that I honestly, I do like the purple. And it's kind of a unique look, but
they have kind of the matte purple now. Is he talking about the old one or the matte one?
I think he's talking about the matte one. I think. I mean, I feel like even in baseball, like the batting helmets, matte has been like the big thing. Everyone's jumping on the bandwagon a little bit there. But Vinnie, one of my other co-hosts, he wrote in his number 5 was Miami, Florida, the university, or the matte black ones, which I feel like I remember those. I don't think I've seen those in a long time though.
Those are sweet.
He said that number 4.
Look, Google those if
you're
listening.
I will check those out. Number 4, he said the New England Patriots, the white helmet with the Patriot playing football with the red and blue stripes down the middle. I'll be honest, I like this. I kind of wish the Patriots would switch it up now that the Brady era is over. But
that logo has a name. I can't remember it.
I know. I can't think of it either. I know what you're talking about though. The thing that drives me nuts, and this is just because I was a history major in college and a history teacher for such a long time, is the fact that they're the Patriots and he's got a red jersey and it's like, that was the Redcoats. That's the British. Like, no, you got to have blue. Like, it drives me insane. It's just a history teacher thing, but awesome logo. I kind of wish they would switch to like maybe a modern update of that, because I don't know. I feel like it's time for them to switch it up a little bit now that the Super Bowl run is over. I don't know if Mac Jones is the answer either. So,
maybe out this week, Mac Jones.
Yes, and I'm starting to think maybe it was more Brady than Belichick. I don't know that won. I don't know. That's we could do a whole podcast on that. He said number 3.
The Bucks all of a sudden we're good.
Yeah, exactly. Tampa Bay Bucks creamsicle helmets. Number 2, he's a big Notre Dame fan, the Golden Domer, and then number 1, the Oregon University. Every single helmet design they've ever had. Vinny, you are sorely mistaken on that one. I can't disagree more with you.
I like yours, and I like the white on white one.
Yes, that's a pretty neat.
It's the O logo, but it's white.
That's a pretty unique. Oh, and there is one more. We have Jay Bird, another guy that writes in all the time. He said he likes the Army Navy game helmets, which that's a unique
those
take.
are cool.
I did not even think about that. He said the Oregon.
Sometimes they got the different like units on them.
Yes,
and stuff.
those are pretty cool. I used to love the midshipman logo. Like I wish they would put that on a helmet. I don't know if they ever have.
It's like a ram. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's got like the banner. I don't know what you'd call it, but. He also said he agrees with Vinnie on Oregon, Notre Dame, and he's a huge fan of the Colts blue throwback. I think that would have been the Baltimore Colts at that point?
Yeah, I think so. It's the blue one with the white horseshoe, right?
I think that's right. So yeah, that's an interesting pick. Well, first of all, or lastly, I guess I should say, Jordan, thank you so much. I apologize. I kept you a little bit longer.
I was having fun, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you are welcome back anytime. When the draft gets closer, we will definitely have to have you on. We'll get all your draft takes, and we'll see. I'm sure the Bears will do. I don't even know what they'll do at this point. We'll see. I hope Justin Fields is the answer, or it's the coaching staff that's bad again. I don't know. But if you are listening, thank you again. Remember, you can find us at youtube.com/baseball and whatever. You can text us or leave us a voicemail at 1-913-808-3278. Find us on Twitter at baseballandwhat, and email the show at baseballandwhatever@gmail.com. We're available on all podcast apps, Apple, Spotify, Google, Anchor, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. We're rolling in that Jeff Bezos money. Again, Jordan, thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah. If you happen to be an educator listening, if we have any teachers or administrators, check out the Flywheel Effect.
Yes, highly recommend it. I think we're 11 episodes in now, 10 episodes in.
Yeah. This is 10 just released.
And you got it's incredible. The podcast is already well over 1,000 downloads in like a month and a half, which is awesome. So yeah, check that out, especially if your kid goes to school and you want to know what people in the field that are very important and knowledgeable have to say, give it a download. Check it out.
Yep.
So there you go.
Thank you, Justin.
No problem.
Appreciate you having me on, man.
All right, Jordan, take care. And we will be back more with some White Sox, Bears, and Cubs talk. Take care, everybody. See you in a little bit.